what, in a sense, can a company do? How can you protect a company to make sure that these issues aren't going to pop up and surprise them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to know what you're looking for. So to be able to know what type of work we are and how that would be benchmarked against the modern awards. So what are we actually looking for? Where do we find that information? Then going into that information and looking at the specific conditions that are going to affect that rate of pay at any given time. And it can be, as I said before, it can be as anything as simple as when the hours occurred and how many hours in that particular day were worked. So these things are not that easy to find, and they're not always spelled out. For example, modern awards will spell out a weekly rate, and then from there you have to work out what that hourly rate would be and then apply the allowances that are relevant to that particular worker at that time. It's all very complicated. We have to constantly update our own knowledges as industry professionals, as people working in the HR field. So I can only imagine what it's like for a small business owner who probably in a lot of cases isn't even aware that there is a modern award. So turning to someone with that type of experience to be able to benchmark and look at those things that they know are going to be relevant, and then be able to present that rate and constantly update as well, update those rates as they're constantly flicked over on the 1st of July of every year. So that's something that I would recommend.
Most businesses struggle to do what they do best in this competitive market. So to think that they've got to cover all those extra aspects, plus they're collecting BAS for the ATO and they're keeping their compliance up within their own industry. I just know that those parts of a business get left behind. It's just natural progression. But in a sense, they're better off to speak to someone like yourself. So, where they can talk to yourself and say, well, okay, this is my circumstances. I'm looking to put someone on, so I'll have one employee. What have I got to have in place? And it doesn't matter whether it's 1, 5 or 10, does it? At the end of the day, you've still got to have the agreements and you've got to have the knowledge.
Absolutely. It's another case of prevention's better than cure.
Yeah.
If we're proactive and we have our employment contracts set up, we have someone from the start on the right pay rates, receiving the right allowances, making sure that the obligations on both sides for the employer and employer are spelled out very, very clearly from the start. It's far better situation than coming in later and having to make back payments, or worse, getting the Fair Work Commission to tell you that you actually have underpaid and then have to back pay for something like amounts to years worth of turnover. So how can you help? What can you do? I'm a small business owner. How can and I'm employing 1 or 2 people, whatever. Not really familiar with that. How do you help me? For sure. It's important to first of all ring us up, let us know, and we'll go through a couple of questions with you to make sure that we've got the right award and that we've benchmarked correctly to make sure that that person is getting all of those allowances and pay rate from the start. We'll set up an employment contract which will make clear of the obligations both on the employee and for the employer's part, what's expected. Prepare all the other relevant information for you, such as the Fair Work Commission information sheet that's needed to be given to every employee once they're employed. What sort of information you need to pass on to the ATO, so the tax file declaration. All of those simple things that can easily be missed off. That's something that we'll do and work through any changes as they happen in the future. As I said, typically around the 1st of July, but can happen as legislation changes throughout the year.
Yeah, so look, I appreciate the knowledge on that, and I hope the viewers do too. So to me, in a simple sense, if you're employing anyone or considering employing anyone, you really need to review it, you need to consider it. It'd be worth catching up with you, at least a phone call to answer a few questions and see how it may impact you. There's no scare tactics in it, it's about understanding it, because it's too late once you've been hit with the fines. So it's be proactive, a bit like insurance really.
Absolutely.
In a sense.
Absolutely.
It's ensuring the fact early, the initial consultation in a sense is just a fact-finding one.
Correct.
Parties.
Yeah.
If you can do something, you do. If you can't, you can't. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So no, fantastic. Well, thank you again, and look, really appreciate your time, mate.
Thanks very much, Wes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Wes.